Hey, what's going on, guys? So I thought about doing a Q&A type of video. If you guys have any questions about my videos or about my personal life, feel free to ask them. Chances are I most likely will answer them, as long as the question is not super weird. If I get enough questions, I will make a separate video about it and we'll go from there. I thought it'd be a cool way to go behind the scenes. Anyway, let's get on to the video. Hey, so you wanted to see me? Listen, man, we need to talk. Your content has dropped tremendously lately. What happened to the weekly content? And I told you 100 times, it's pronounced virtua racing. And what's up with the random smoke detector sounds in your videos? Listen, I don't want to have to let you go. So what are you going to do to improve this? You want to play Mario Party? Are we talking official controllers here? Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Pojr coming at you with another video. So you might have noticed that I play a lot of retro games. I don't really play a lot of newer games, at least not that often. That's because my mom was 19 when she first purchased her NES, so I got a lot of experience from her. Thankfully, I did not inherit her reactions to when she loses in games and blames it on the game. And calls it all kinds of not so nice names. So, for the record, I'm 30. I guess you could say I've accumulated a decent amount of interesting stories and memories. But a video like this, I really can't do this by myself. So, for the first time, we actually have a special guest for today.
It's me, the special guest. Can you guess who I am? I'm Dan's mom. Do you guys know who Dan is? AKA Pojr. I'm very honored to be a guest on Pojr's video. I bought my Nintendo when I was 19. I was very proud. One of my first large purchases. I actually bought it when I bought my first TV. I had Zelda. Zelda was one of the big games at the time, obviously, and Super Mario Brothers. Duck Hunt, I can honestly say I was never a big fan of. Yeah, like playing with the gun, shooting it. Yeah, it felt cool, but I was never a big fan of the game. But that's when I bought my system. It came with the Mario Duck Hunt cartridge with the gun.
Anyway, with that said, for a couple of these stories, I'm going to be having my mom with me to explain them. She's going to be able to do the story more justice than I am. So anyway, with that said, let's get started. So I was always a big fan of the Disney games by Virgin on Sega Genesis. A lot of care went into these games. They all seemed to follow the same formula. They were all well animated, just like the Disney movies. They all followed the movies very well, and there was a lot of great voice samples.
Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
It was almost like you were reenacting the movie yourself. In the case of Aladdin on Sega Genesis, Virgin actually worked with the animators of the movie for the sprites. So I have a silly story with Lion King. When I was really young, like 4 or 5 years old, my family purchased Lion King from a video game store at the shopping mall near our house. I don't remember what store it was. It might have been an EB Games or maybe some local mom and pop store. I don't remember. When we played the game for the first time, we couldn't figure out how to get past the second level. It wasn't obvious what to do. Here, the monkeys will toss you to a different location in the stage. The idea is, if you go to a certain path, the monkeys will correctly throw you to the end of the stage. But we didn't know that you could change the direction that the pink monkeys could throw, so we kept getting transported back to the earlier parts of the stage, basically in an endless loop. So out of frustration, we took the game back to the store, not to return it, but to ask for help on how to beat that stage. So I know what you're probably thinking, what's the store employee gonna do? They're just gonna look at us like we're idiots. But believe it or not, they actually showed us how to beat that stage. I gotta say, that's some incredible customer service right there, and who would have thought the employee knew how to beat stage 2 in Lion King? Definitely an amazing story. Unfortunately, that shopping mall was demolished years ago, and that game store, whatever it was, is long gone. So if I were stuck on an island and I could only take 4 or 5 games with me, Tetris would be one of them, and I'm not even talking about Tetris in general, I'm talking about Tetris on NES. But why? There's hundreds of versions of this game on other consoles, and some even have more features. More specifically, I had the new Tetris on N64, which is basically Tetris with a few upgrades. You can form big blocks that give you tons of points, and you have an extra piece on reserve that you can trade with at any time. I really love the intro at the beginning too. Here you see some kind of architecture being built, but you can't tell what it is until it zooms out. I always thought this was really cool. I also always thought this was visually impressive. You have a bunch of stages you can play on. I mean, there's no gameplay differences between the stages, it's all visual, but I like the extra attention to detail. So overall, I enjoyed the new gameplay mechanics, even if it doesn't make this a true Tetris game. But if I want the perfect Tetris experience with no gimmicks, the NES version is the one to play. It's just so well made. The controls are near perfect. The music is absolutely fantastic, some of the best on NES. And I love that the blocks change colors per level. It's a basic version of Tetris. It doesn't have any of the features that the later versions have, but if you're looking for just a basic Tetris game, this is the absolute best version of the game. There's a reason this version is used in the competitive scene. While there were other versions of Tetris that were made before the NES one, this would be the first version a lot of people were introduced to, including my family. This game was a hot item in my household. With that said, I have a cute story related to this game. However, due to my young age at the time, I'm gonna need some help on this one. So, tell me about Tetris on NES. Good job.
Your mom's funny. That's one of my favorite games. Still up there on my list of favorites. Although it's not as fun as it was back when Daniel was a kid. Are you Dan or pojr? He was scared to death of that game. I would see Dan peeking around the corner as the music got fast. Faster and faster, you would see that fear in his expression grow. But he still peeked around that corner, trying to see the game where I'm at. And so I enjoyed the game even more because I knew how scared he was of it. It's awful. I'm a terrible mother.
So, to elaborate a little bit more, the music would speed up when you were about to lose, and when you did lose, you would be brought to a results screen where a rocket would be launched. The higher your score, the bigger the rocket would be. For example, if you played terribly, a basic bottle rocket would be launched, but if you got the absolute max score, the entire Russian cathedral would blast off. I don't know why, but as a kid, I was always really afraid of this part of the game. It might have been the music, or maybe the shock factor of the cathedral blasting off into space. I don't think that actually happens. It didn't make any sense where my fear came from, and it doesn't have to, I was a kid. So whenever I play this game today, I always think about this memory. While I was frightened at the time, I reminisce about it today. So if you have a sibling, you can probably relate to this. While there were some things that were mine and some things that were his, my brother and I were often forced to share. We never had our own game consoles or our own copies of games. We always shared everything. Controllers, games, pretty much everything. For the most part, we never had any problems, but there were some games my brother didn't like sharing with me. So with that all said, we had a big collection of Sonic games. I'll quickly go over my experiences with them. Sonic 1 was a great start in the series. There was no game out there that was even remotely like it at the time. But it's not my favorite Sonic game. There were some weird glitches, Sonic was mostly kind of slow in this game, and it actually gets kind of boring. But I say this not because I think Sonic 1 is bad, but because of how much I love the second game. That's right, Sonic 2 was an amazing follow-up. It fixed all the problems that the first game had. Sonic now has a spin dash feature that allows him to move faster, and it's just a lot more fun in general. I always thought having 3 acts per zone was a little excessive in Sonic 1. I mean, how many times can you rehash the same level background? But in Sonic 2, they decreased it to only 2 acts per zone, which keeps it more fresh and prevents the player from being bored. Even if it's only 2 acts per zone, Sonic 2 still has more levels than the first game. Now, Sonic 3 and Knuckles is the ultimate Sonic game. It had a save feature which was huge. Now you can actually collect the Chaos Emeralds without having to play the game in one sitting. Also, the inclusion of Knuckles gives the game more variety. When you beat the game with one character, you can switch to another. Speaking of variety, this game is gigantic. It's the biggest Sonic game of the 3. If I had to pick a favorite Sonic game, it would be this one. But a lot of people say Sonic 2 is better. And you know what? It's really close. They're both fantastic games. As kids, my brother wouldn't allow me to play Sonic 3 most of the time because he was afraid I would erase his files. And he was right. I was really fidgety as a kid and I would mess around with his games, not knowing what I was doing. Even with my own games, I would sometimes erase them by accident. However, I do have a defense here. I wanted to play as Dr. Robotnik. What do I mean by that? If you move the cursor all the way to the right, there's an option to select Dr. Robotnik. Now obviously this is the way you're supposed to erase game files, but I was a dumb kid and I thought this was the way you could play as him. So I would erase the game files inadvertently, and a few times it was my brother's files that got erased, and as you can imagine, he wasn't too happy with me. Sonic 3 wasn't the only game we owned that had a save feature, but it's the one game that really stands out. So you would think I would have improved on this, but a couple months ago I had a friend over and we were playing their copy of Super Monkey Ball on the Switch, and I accidentally erased their game file on that too. Some things never change, I guess. So I always found Ecco the Dolphin to be an interesting game. As a kid, we owned the first game on Genesis, but I never made it that far and I didn't really like the game all that much, mainly because I sucked at it. To be fair though, I played through this one recently and it's actually a pretty good game, it just has a learning curve. So anyway, even though I never made it past the second stage when I was a kid, I knew the basics. The reason I mention this is because one of my best friends in elementary school, who was also my neighbor, couldn't figure out how to get past the first screen in the sequel, The Tides of Time. Now, at this point in my life, I didn't even know there was a sequel to Ecco the Dolphin. He explained to me that there's a mirror with another dolphin on the other side who mimics your every move, and he didn't know how to get past that point, so out of frustration, he let me have the game. So when I got home that day, I popped the game in my Sega Genesis and made it to that exact part, and sure enough, my friend was right, there was no way to move past that other dolphin. Except, by pressing the A button, you can actually talk to the other dolphin. Once you get past the text, the dolphin goes away and you can progress further in the game. I found this out in literally 10 seconds. Thank God I did too, because I actually really enjoyed this game. I found the music to be a lot better than the first game. and I felt like the sequel had more variety. It also helped that I was able to get past stage 2, unlike the first game. So anyway, since I was a good friend, that meant that I would show him how to get past the mirror and give the game back to him, right? Well, no. I was a selfish kid, and I enjoyed the game, so I kept it for myself. As an 8-year-old, I figured, well, I mean, he let me have the game, finders keepers, right? Fortunately, my selfishness didn't seem to affect our friendship, but this memory always stuck with me. Now, I haven't talked to this person in 20 years, and I doubt he even remembers this, but as an adult, I do feel a little bad. So if me and 3 other friends were hanging out and we had to play one N64 game, I would probably pick Mario Party 1 or 2. These games are super relaxed. You don't have to be very good at the game, you can just pick it up, play it, and have a good time. This game has a lot of RNG, but it's one of the few games where I actually really like that. It adds to the charm. You could be way ahead and then land on a random chance time, and then suddenly you're losing the game. You could also steal coins and stars from the other players, which I loved. Mario Party 1 was a great start, but it was a bit rough around the edges. Some of the minigames were pretty stupid, there were no items yet, and some of the mechanics were broken, and overall it was pretty bland. But there were some things I really liked about this game. I really enjoyed the one-player minigames, but unfortunately this is the only Mario Party game to have them, as they would be replaced with the item minigames. I also love the cutscenes in this game, especially the encounters with Bowser. So yeah, there were some glaring issues, but overall this is a good game. Mario Party 2 improved the first game in nearly every way. The minigames were more balanced, there were more features such as items, there was a lot more variety in the stages, and it fixed a lot of the problems that the first game had. This is also the first Mario Party game to feature items, which gives you an advantage. I really like items because it adds an element of strategy to the game. While I always preferred the one-player minigames, I do enjoy the item minigames here. When you complete a full game, you get a really humorous cutscene at the end between Bowser and the player who won. This is the only Mario Party game that I'm aware of that does this, and I always loved it. I consider this one my favorite Mario Party game. It basically won up to the first game in every aspect. So I've also played Mario Party Superstars, and I'm actually amazed at how good it is. Most of the minigames come from Mario Party 1 through 3, so I felt right at home with this one. Mario Party was starting to steer in a questionable direction, so I'm glad we have a Mario Party game that stays true to the originals. There's one memory of this game that I'll never forget. When I graduated high school, I wasn't a super popular kid. When I set up a date for my graduation party, I expected a lot of people to show up. I'm not sure why I did, because I didn't have a lot of friends in high school. But needless to say, when the date of my graduation party came, very few people showed up, and I was disappointed. That was until near dark, when a few of my good friends saved the day. After we went swimming, we decided to dust off the N64 and play Mario Party 1. One of my friends, who was not very familiar with the game, was still beating most of us because he kept getting lucky with hidden blocks and chance time. I'm not sure why I remember that, but it's one example of why I like Mario Party so much. Anyway, the graduation party started out disappointing, but thanks to some good friends and a fun game, I now have a memory I'll never forget. So I was a huge Pokemon fan as a kid. I was first introduced to the TV show. I distinctly remember seeing the episode where Ash meets Misty for the first time, and I was hooked from there. Later on, Pokemon cards started getting really popular at school, so I started collecting them. I actually still have them today. I even have the one that I made myself. Yeah. Eventually, I got a hold of Pokemon Blue, and this is where I really started to get into it. It amazed me that you could trade a Pokemon from a game they were obtainable in to a game they were not. I remember at school, people had their Game Boys out playing this constantly, and it led to the school banning all Pokemon cards and Game Boys. When Pokemon the first movie was announced, Burger King released its Pokemon toys. They were just plastic toys, they weren't anything special, but for some reason I fondly remember these toys. And I was really excited for the movie. I saw it in theaters and I loved it. I saw Pokemon 2000 in theaters as well, but I wasn't near as excited about it. I actually fell asleep through it and I don't even know what it's about. So let's talk about Pokemon Stadium. It wasn't a main Pokemon game, but you could connect Red, Blue, or Yellow to it and battle in gyms using your existing team. If you didn't own any of the Pokemon games, you could still play in the gyms using the rental Pokemon. I actually like what they did with the rental Pokemon, because they were not EV trained and the movesets were not near as good as they could be. For example, this Chansey, I would replace Rest with Soft Boiled, and I'd replace Thunder with Thunderbolt and Minimize with Ice Beam, but I can work with this. This gave you a reason to grind up your own Pokemon rather than using all this trash, because your own team will be more powerful and have better moves. But it's cool that Game Freak at least gave you an alternative if you didn't own the games yet. Some of the pre-evolutions had slightly better movesets than their fully evolved counterparts, so it gave you an incentive to sometimes consider the not fully evolved Pokemon. For example, look at Starmie. Thunder and Surf are nice, although I would rather have Thunderbolt because Thunder is super inaccurate. Swift and Harden? What are those doing on here? Those are garbage. But if you check out Staryu, it has the perfect moveset: Thunderbolt, Recover, and 2 stab moves. Pokemon Stadium was basically an expansion pack for Red, Blue, and Yellow. If you already beat the Game Boy game and caught Mewtwo, there's not much left to do in the game, but if you connected to Pokemon Stadium, you can use your original team, including that Mewtwo, in the gym battles. And the trainers have much smarter AIs than they do in the Game Boy games, so it's much more difficult to beat. Not only can you use your original team to battle in gyms, but you can also use Pokemon Stadium as a move tutor to teach your own team new moves and even obtain new Pokemon. You can even teach Pikachu Surf in Pokemon Stadium, which is otherwise impossible in Red and Blue. So this game was excellent for Pokemon fans, but even if you didn't like Pokemon, there were the mini-games. So yeah, there's only 9 games, and some of them are super basic, but I'm actually impressed with how much effort they put into this. My favorite minigame was the Metapod one, where you have to avoid the rocks by turning into stone, but you have an energy meter that depletes when you're a stone, so you have to use the stone sparingly. You also have a tournament mode where whoever wins the most minigames wins the entire tournament. Overall, while this is super basic compared to Mario Party, the minigame section is actually a lot of fun, and I've played this with multiple people. It's a good time. Whether you're a Pokemon fan or not, this game delivers. So when Pokemon Stadium 2 was announced, I was really excited. I remember seeing the commercial where the little kid was sitting in front of a game store waiting for the release of the game. According to the commercial, the release of this game would be March 28, 2001, which was my birthday. Now, I recently looked this up, and apparently the release of the game was March 26th, but I always remembered it being the 28th. How could I forget that the release of this game was on my birthday? So I decided to look up the commercial on YouTube, and sure enough, it says the game was coming out on the 28th.
Pokemon Stadium 2 will be here on March 28th. Until then, $10 reserve your copy.
I'm not sure why sources say differently. Maybe the release date was different depending on the game store, or maybe the region. So that year, I had my birthday at a place called Kahunaville, which was a jungle-themed restaurant similar to Rainforest Cafe. I wasn't sure if I would actually receive this game or not because my birthday was the weekend after my birthday, and there wouldn't be very much time to find the game. But sure enough, I actually received the game at my birthday party. I don't know how my mom pulled it off, and she may not even remember doing this, but I appreciate what she did. So now let's talk about Pokemon Stadium 2. So the first game worked with Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. Pokemon Stadium 2 also worked with these games, but would also support the Generation 2 games, Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Outside of including 100 new Pokemon, adding held items, and introducing new moves, Pokemon Stadium 2 would receive a graphical upgrade. Everything looked more refined and shinier. But besides that, the game followed the same formula. You can battle in gyms with your in-game teams, but still have the rental Pokemon. Like with Pokemon Stadium 1, you have access to every Pokemon under the rentals, but they have mediocre movesets. A Belly Drum set, but Snore is the only physical attacking move? Awesome. But like before, the pre-evolutions usually have better movesets. So let's talk about the minigame section. It actually received a complete overhaul. The tournament mode is more interesting than before. Here you can roll a die, and depending on what it lands on, you can potentially earn more than 1 point, or even possibly steal points from the leading player. This is a nice little twist, and it keeps the game more interesting. It actually reminds me of Mario Party, where sometimes RNG comes into play. My favorite minigame is the Chansey one, where you can collect the Pokeballs and avoid the Voltorbs. Such a basic game, but it's so much fun. I thought they would have copy-pasted some of the minigames from Pokemon Stadium 1, but that didn't happen. They actually went above and beyond with this one. So if you couldn't tell already, the minigames in both Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 occupied most of my time. I wasn't very good at the main game when I was a kid, and most of my family and friends weren't big Pokemon fans, so if we ever played together, it would be the minigames. This memory always stuck with me for a few reasons. For one, I was a big Pokemon fan, still am, and getting this game near the release date was such a memorable moment to me. Secondly, I miss Kahunaville. You guys remember Kahunaville? It was a mix between Rainforest Cafe and Discovery Zone. It was a restaurant that also had an arcade. These types of places were a kid's dream come true. It's too bad that places like these never lasted. So thanks so much for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like rating. That alone helps the video get noticed by more people. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel so you're automatically updated when my next video is out. More content is coming. I recently hit 1,000 subscribers. Thanks so much to all my friends and fans for making this possible. Let's aim for 10K. So, what was the first game you ever beat?
That's a very good question. I would have to say it was Zelda. I was really into that game back when I can't say back when I bought my Nintendo because Zelda wasn't out yet.
Yeah, straight to the bloopers.
Yeah!
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Pojr coming at you with another video. So I thought it would be a really cool idea to go over some gaming memories that I had. I was not sure if I was going to say in my youth or when I was younger. I never say youth in real life, so why would I say it here?
You can start off by saying...
So I thought it would be a really neat idea to kind of make a more relaxing video than what I usually make. I'm going to So I actually thought it'd be a really cool idea to go over some of my past gaming memories. So you might have noticed that I play a lot of retro games. I don't really play a lot of newer games, at least not that often. Now, a big reason for that is because I actually come from a family who had an NES when they were kids. I'm not including that. That's because when my mom was a teenager, she actually had her own NES. I said hone. That's because when my mom was 19, she actually had an NES when she was living with her dad. No, because that's my grandfather. Why would I say dad when it'd be grandfather, right? Thankfully, I did not. No, not yet.
I am his mama. Let me rephrase that because he might not like that. I'm very honored to be in one of his...
I'm very honored to be in his...
I'm very honored to be a guest on one of his famous videos. He probably thinks that's corny. So, hey, this is Dan's mom. Again, he don't want me to keep introducing myself. I loved playing Tetris. From the time that I purchased my Nintendo, it was one of my favorite games. Wait, did Tetris come out then? I remember mostly playing Zelda when I was 19. So, what year did Tetris come out?
89.
89.
Zelda was 86.
So I did not play Tetris when I was 19. I am a liar. Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers was the bomb. That was the talk of the town. No, I'm corny. Because he was so scared anytime that rocket went off. But you could see it as the music got faster. That fear in his eyes. I am an example of bad parenting. Parenting. I am the face of bad parenting. Parenting. It doesn't sound like it's coming out right. Nose picking. No, I just want you to edit it out. Edit that out, please.
I'll definitely edit that out of the first part of the video and straight
Thank
into
you.
the bloopers. So, tell me about Tetris on NES.
Well, you take the shapes of the box and you twist and turn them to try to make lines across the... Oh no, I'm not supposed to be teaching you how to play it.
Good job.
That's going to be in the video as one of my answers, right? Because I knew how scared he was of it. It's awful. I'm a terrible mother. But it was just funny. I don't think I'm telling the story well. I found amusement in my little boy's fear of the fast sounding music. That was said way too slow and stupid.